not only do I have this beast, but apparently he barks a lot, and I've got to use the device to mute him. Oh my God! It all happened so fast, you know. It was like this onslaught. And this kid who was there, this guy's son, so they're saying, "Say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye to Leo." And I'm waiting for him to say goodbye to Leo, to do something, to show that he had some type of affection or feeling towards Leo. And I just watched the kid sit there. He just stood there. He's probably about 8 or 9 years old. He just stood there looking at the dog. And I asked him, I said, "Are you going to miss Leo?" And he said, "Well, sort of." Okay, so I get Leo in my car. Now, I don't have a small car. I've got a Land Rover. And he gets in the back seat. My kid he still sits in one of those booster seats. I think my ex-wife wants him to sit in there until he's 13. So Leo, so that takes up part of the seat. Leo, his head is touching the top of the car, on the inside of the car. And if he laid it down, his head would have been on top of my son's lap. I'm like, this is just wild. But it all happened so fast. So I go, okay, well, here we go. And then I go to start the car up, and it won't start. Wow, this is interesting. Now I've got this dog, and my car won't start. And I could tell it wasn't a battery. You know, if you spend any time around cars, you know it's not a battery, because if it's a battery, you had no juice. I mean, you know, electricity or anything. I had electricity. I had lights. But yeah, I had that, which meant it was an alternator. So what am I going to do? So I called the guy up and say, "Mike, it's Robert. You won't believe this. My car won't start. I can't take the dog. It's like, I got to figure out how to get home. I just can't take this dog right now." He says, "Okay, we're not that far. I'll come back." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you." He says, "Oh," and he said, "We'll give you a jump. I'll give you a jump." I'm like, okay. Something, maybe I do need a jump. I'll try it. He comes back. I can't even turn the key. Before I could get the clicking sound. Now he comes back, key won't even turn. Even if I wanted to jump, and even if it could jump it, wasn't going to happen. Like, dude, this is not going to happen. Okay, so back goes Leo. And I got to tell you, Leo was in like some little like Toyota or something. I couldn't believe it. We were hauling this dog around this Toyota. I feel sorry for Leo. Leo needs 40 acres and a long bed pickup to hang out in. You know, and it was interesting that once I had him, because there was a little period of time after I called, and before they came back, I had him on the leash and I walked him around. He was actually a lot more calm when I was doing that. He was a lot more calm. It was like, they didn't really know how to handle Leo. So the moral of the story, what's the moral of the story? Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because everything lined up in that moment for me not to have that dog. It was not insignificant. It all happened in a very, very divinely guided and ordained way. I was not meant to have that dog for whatever reason. It's not my dog. And I understand these things. It's hard to tell that to a 6-year-old, but and that's one level of reality. Right? This is the level of reality where reality acts upon us. This is where we understand that we're not, you know, everybody says, well, you're God, you're God, you're God. We're all God. Well, we're not all God. We're not all God. And yet we are. This is the dichotomy of the universe, right? This is really this is the cone, the laughing cone at the center of the universe. You're God and you're not God. You're the center of everything and you're not the center of everything. And then you got to work out the dance in between. This is the polarity. The polarity. This is the opposition. So in that moment, I was not God. Or maybe some people would say, well, that was your higher self. Your higher self conspired to do all this. Well, great. My higher self is like hanging out with God up there, and they're saying, hey, look, not a good fit. Let's kill that engine. Let's freeze that lock. The atoms conspired against me to get that dog. My will was ineffective. Ineffective. Not going to happen. So I come back the next day, and it's right by a record store called Rasputin's. I used to work at Rasputin's many years ago. Not that one, but another one. And I've been trying to find like Stevie Wonder's greatest hits or Inner Visions. Visions are my two favorite Stevie Wonder records. And I've been trying to find sort of the greatest hits online. And I went to eMusic, and I couldn't find them on eMusic. Nothing really by Stevie Wonder. I really wanted, been jonesing for that 70s version. Everything up to Master Blaster, Stevie Wonder. So there it was, by Rasputin's. I'm thinking, maybe I could go in there and find Stevie Wonder's greatest hits while I'm waiting for all this. And I'm waiting around for the tow truck, contemplating going into Rasputin's, and all of a sudden, this car that's parked in front of Rasputin's starts playing Stevie Wonder's greatest hits and tracking through the various songs. This is about 5 minutes after I'd had this thought. Now, mind you, I had had that thought the night before, too, while I was there. But I didn't move on it. But then the next day, there's the car playing Stevie Wonder's greatest hits 5 minutes after I've had this thought. So now I am influencing reality, theoretically. Now I am, on some level, merging my thought with reality. And reality is being pretty malleable at that point. So somewhere in between the two is really the modality that I'm talking about. That we can influence reality, we can influence the world around us, and it's thought. It's really thought, plain and simple. And there are other times when we can't, and then we have to step back and we have to understand that there's a greater thought or a greater current of thought that wants to direct us into another direction. Because if we can do that, if we can hold both of those planes of existence and embody and anchor the duality of both of those realms, then we can move forward. If we go too far one way, then we sit around on our thumbs all the time waiting for God to tell us what to do. And if we go too far in the other direction, we're completely Luciferian and ultimately become likely psychopathic, because that's what people that have inordinate amounts of power and resources without any real connection to some sort of governing or guiding principle. That's what they de-evolve into, because they don't have any limits theoretically in this world. And if we can somehow balance the two, then we can be pretty successful in tapping into the magic and the knowledge and the wisdom and all the multidimensional promise that we have as a species, while at the same time honoring something far greater, far larger, far more compassionate, far more loving, far more universal than we understand, really. You bring the two of them together, you have the Malkuth Bekether, the fruit to the root. So let's see what we got here. We've got we got no callers. Everybody want to call in, say hello. I'm going to shut this down in about 5 minutes or so, since I've rambled. Yeah, so here we are. Human species.